How's it going? My name is Noel, and I want to share my MS story. Okay, so take a look and let me give it a try.
I understand.
Do you?
Do you? This is it. I'm telling you, this is it.
Where I start. Now, I'm 42 years old. I got diagnosed about 6 years ago, and I've been experiencing symptoms way back since college. Right? So that was what back in 2001. I started seeing different things happening, and I kept going to the doctor a lot to try to get diagnosed, right? I think being diagnosed is very, very important. So I kept going back to the doctor like 2 to 3 times a year, you know. Luckily, I had a job with health insurance, so I was covered on that end. So it's a matter of me just going. But since 2001, I've been experiencing a lot of the typical symptoms that you hear MS patients talk about. I was getting a lot of headaches all the time, losing sleep. That's another problem. I've been losing vision. Like I was already wearing glasses, but it was getting worse. So I actually went ahead and got the LASIK eye surgery in 2003, I believe. But after like 2 years, the LASIK surgery went away. So I'm like, back to wearing glasses. And I just thought that it was a surgery, that it was just temporary. You get good vision and then you lose it. But losing your vision is something that happens with MS patients. So I think that's what happened with me. Okay. I'm not wearing glasses now because I don't need them. I think I only use them to drive and things like that. But when I'm home, I usually don't put on glasses. So then, all through my 20s, I had a bunch of different symptoms that I was trying to fight and trying to figure out how I'm going to make it. The only thing my friends and family would say is to stop complaining. What are you complaining about? You're in your 20s, you're strong, you could do it. Just stop complaining. You're just trying to gain attention. And that was like a typical theme, that you're just trying to get attention by complaining all the time about different things. And I think because of that, I just stopped talking. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to tell anybody my problems. I'm going to just keep it to myself. And the problem with that is it became a habit of just hiding whatever problems I was going through, not telling anybody. I would just keep everything to myself. I would wake up all the time during the night to go to the bathroom. So suffering from urgency, that was a typical thing for me. So waking up 2 to 3 times a night. So lack of sleep and I had to go to work. Oh, the worst. But again, just keeping it to myself. I built that in like a habit, not telling anybody my problem because they would just tell me to stop complaining. So I did just that, stop complaining. Then I was able to continue working to like I was 36. When I was 36, I went to work and just collapsed. After falling on the floor, right? I still had this whole mentality of not looking for help or not getting help from anybody. So I said to myself, okay, how do I get out of this problem? I collapsed on the floor and I said, okay, the elevator's down the hallway, right? I think I can crawl to the elevator and then take the elevator downstairs. That would take a good 10 minutes. And that's how much energy or how much time I felt that I needed to get back on my feet. I just need a good 10 minutes. So I said, okay, let me get out of here. So while in my office, I started crawling to the elevator. You know, went all the way to the elevator and pressed the button. Crawled my way in the elevator. It was a fourth floor building. Went downstairs, crawled out. And that took about, a few minutes. Downstairs, I said, okay, now let me just wait a good 10 minutes. Try to get up, and I couldn't do it. So I said, okay, I'm going to have to call for help. My brother was home, like about an hour away. All right. Called him up, had him come down, and just sat there for an hour. Once he got there, he got in the building and went back to the elevator and found me on the floor. So I'm like, hey, how's it going? Let me try to get up. And I couldn't do it. So he had to help me walk all the way to the car that was outside, and he drove me to the hospital. In the hospital, I was there for like 3 days, like 2 to 3 days, and they had me on steroids. And a neurosurgeon, a doctor came in and said, you may have multiple sclerosis. So I'm like, are you serious? Yes, but we have to test you. And then to get tested for MS, it's a long, long process. I mean, when I say long, I mean it takes like 6 months. They have to do a spinal tap. They have to do an MRI. They have to do different tests. And it takes about 6 months. So after I spent like 3 days in the hospital, I got out the hospital. I was able to walk. So I walked home from the hospital. That was a nice commute. Didn't take a cab, just walked. It was a good mile or two. And then after 6 months, I went back to the neurologist, and he said, yes, you do have MS. And the first question I have for the doctor, so am I going to die? He just smiled and said, yes, eventually, we all are. But let's just try to keep it alive. MS is not something that people die from it, directly. We just got to treat it. So let's start some treatments. So I said, all right, let's make it happen. Let's stay on my feet. And of course, when you get diagnosed, what you do, you start doing your research. What is this? What do I have to do? How bad is it going to get? And that's the scary part. That there's a lot of people on wheelchairs with MS. I'm like, I'm going to lose my walking. And kind of the reason why, like on this YouTube, my title is Noel Still Walking, because I can still walk. Walking is something that I celebrate while I still can. We all know that walking is something we take for granted until you start to lose it, So eventually I might lose it. I'm saying might with the hope that it doesn't happen. But when I got diagnosed, I used to jog every day 1 mile around the block. I live in the city, so just around the block every day. Something to keep me moving. But that was me getting diagnosed. I think it was a great thing because now I know what I was up against. And that's what you want to do. You want to know what you're fighting. The first treatment the doctor had me on, I think I was on there for like 6 months, which was like a vaccine. I used to do it twice a day. And then we tried that for 6 months to see where it goes. Now, there's different types of MS. The type that I had, the doctor never told me what type of MS I have, just trying out different treatments. Except for now I have PPMS, which is primary progressive MS. I think that's like the worst kind. Now walking is extremely difficult for me. I had to quit my job, stay home, and I'm in retirement. Now that I'm home all day, I think I'm going to do this YouTube thing as a hobby, something to do while I'm home. And my goal is just to stay on my feet and to continue walking. Another nice thing about this YouTube thing is I'm going to try to make a lot of videos so I can see the progression, to see how bad it gets. Because you start losing functionality with MS, like your hands, your feet, walking, the talking. Now when I talk a lot, I notice I run out of air quicker. So I'm like, this is horrible. So let me see how long I can talk for, you know? And how much I could appear normal. Because at the end of the day, MS is one of those things, you look at an individual and they look normal to you. But in the inside, you know, is haywire, is everywhere. It's a little bit tougher. I keep looking to the side, looking at the computer, see what else to talk about. But this is my first take. Let's see how this video looks. And if it looks good, I'm just going to post this up. All right.
I understand.
Do you?
Do you? This is it. I'm telling you, this is it.
One of the goals of this YouTube channel is to talk about quality of life. How to improve your quality of life. That's something that I neglected a lot when I was younger. And just like, whatever, you know, with the whole MS depression, I just didn't care. Now I'm trying to improve my quality of life. So let's see how much I can improve upon this. All right.